Welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills. This is the special segment called Wealth Zone University, and as always, our objective is to change your mind about money so you can change your financial future. Hi, I'm Don Maraney. I'll be your host, and today we're going to have another special segment which we call Straight Talk. That's where you and I sit and we talk about things that we think are important to you to make sure that you get a good basic understanding of the issues and financial issues that we think are really important to you. So first of all, Happy New Year. And two, we're going to talk about savings today. So your first question is, Don, the holidays just ended, and I spent all the money that I had. In fact, I spent some money that I didn't have. So why are we talking about savings today? Well, it's really important to have a plan in place at the beginning of the year so that we can meet those milestones and objectives during the year, so that at the end of the year, we can have a financial plan that is working for us, and we can start building our financial security, and we can also make sure that we are now in the mind frame to begin to build financial wealth. As we've talked about in prior segments, we have to arrive at financial security before we can either think about being wealthy, and arriving at financial security is really, really simple. We just have to follow what we call the simple real secrets of money. The first thing is to save, and that's what we're going to be talking about for this next segment, and we're going to get a little bit detailed about it in the next segment that's to follow. The next thing is, once you save, you have to protect your money. One of the things that we have not been doing with the money that we've been working so hard to save is to make sure that we keep that money. We've been risking it, we've been losing it, and when it comes to time to retire or to send our children to college, that money is no longer available. So we have to begin to invoke that aspect of the real secrets of money. Third, we have to make sure that our money provides a good return. There's no need in having money sitting around if it can't start to work for you. Our money works for us when we compound. So part of savings is making sure that we're saving enough, we're saving consistently, that we have it protected, and then making sure we have respectable earnings so it can compound. And the last thing, of course, is making sure that Uncle Sam doesn't take it all. And so once we begin to talk about these four aspects of real secrets of money, we can really determine that we have the ability to control our financial futures and that we should have the responsibility to control our financial futures. So let's get to talking about it. So you had a great Christmas. You had a great holiday. You had a great Kwanzaa, you had a great Hanukkah, whatever it happened to be, you enjoyed it. Did you spend all of your money? I think you probably did. And why is that? Because the media made sure that you and everyone around you knew that you had to go to the store the day after Christmas, the day after Thanksgiving, and spend all the money that you didn't have. Think about it. It's been estimated that the average person spent $750 over the Thanksgiving to Christmas holiday. $750. Now, we're being told we're in a recession. So if we are, where does all that money come from? I've read that about $60 billion was spent over the 4-day Thanksgiving holiday. I mean, the day before, Thanksgiving, and naturally the day after, and that's Saturday. $60 billion. I've also read that 10 times that much was spent over the entire holiday period. Now, if you think about the fact that we have such high unemployment, that there's so many people who are underemployed or not employed, where do we get the money to spend that at those rates during such a short period of time? Even more, why can't we then apply that same mindset to saving money throughout the year over a 12-month period? Because I know you've said, and you might not have said it recently, but you've said that I can't save. I can't find the money to save. I don't have enough money to save. If I contribute to my retirement plan, I won't have enough money to live off of. That all those things may be factual. But somehow, from Thanksgiving to December, we all seem to find the money. Now, we might be spending money that we've saved. We're probably spending money that we don't have on credit cards and other plastic. But still, we seem to have the understanding that if we don't spend the money during that short period of time, that there are consequences that we don't want to face. Unhappy children, unhappy friends, unhappy relatives, unhappy selves, whatever it happens to be. What I want to talk about in this segment is taking that same mindset and applying it to yourself and your financial future. If you don't begin to save now, think about the unhappiness that's going to be at your doorstep when you need to be able to ensure your retirement, ensure your child's college education, ensure that the house that you're going to buy has an adequate down payment. All the things that you want to do determine what your mindset is. So let's begin to talk now about how we change our minds about money in 2013 so that during 2013 we can really take fiscal responsibility for ourselves and our financial futures. And at the end of 2013 will be the first year that you and I will be able to sit down together, look at what we've accomplished together, and say, yes, we've been very successful in beginning the road to financial security for myself, my business, and my family. Now remember, the reason that you spend so much during the holiday season is because the media drives you to do that. Let me give you another example. I've read recently that it's expected that during the Super Bowl that the average consumer will spend almost $10 billion. Now again, I'm not sure where these numbers come from, but you think about it. If you spent $60 billion for Thanksgiving and you spent $600 billion for the entire holiday, a month later, or a month and a half later, you've got another $10 billion. I mean, come on, we've got to be able to find the money to save. So it's really up to us to determine how that's going to happen. And what is it? It's the decisions that we make, isn't it? Exactly. It's the decisions that we make about how we're going to spend our money, where our money is going to go, and what kind of benefit that we're going to get for that money. And so since we've made some really hard decisions over the last 2 months so that we could have the touchy-feely goodness that the holiday brings, I want you to bring that same decisiveness to savings for your financial security. So at the end of this year, we not only have a touchy-feely good time, but we also have an economic stake in the fact that we now have a nest egg that is protected and growing for our financial future. Okay? Preaching's over. Let's get to talk to basics. Before I go any further, I want to do something. I want to thank every one of you who has called, emailed, and talked to us about the things that we're doing here on the Wealth Zone University. It's really gratifying to know that the things we talk about, the guests that we have, are pertinent to you, that we're sharing information with you, that information is valuable to you, and that you feel that what we're talking about is not only credible, but is extremely helpful. So I personally want to thank everyone who's called and encourage each one of you to consider us your resource. Call us, email us, we'll get back with you, but we really love it when you let us know that we're talking about things that you need to know about. So in our next segment, we're going to begin to talk about steps that each of us can take on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a per paycheck basis to begin to save. Now, we've talked about several of these things in different episodes, and we also talked about in the last Straight Talk episode about how we believe that retirement plans, especially employer-sponsored retirement plans, are valuable ways of savings. So we're not going to talk about pension plans today. We're actually going to talk about systems for allowing us to begin to put aside amount of money, and we'll determine in the next segment how much that amount of money should be, systematically, in a way that it does not negatively impact the cash flow or your living standards. We're going to talk about where to put that money once we begin to save, and explain to you how valuable it is to do it consistently so that that savings money builds, and then you can take advantage of the magical ability of what we call compounding. When your money grows and then your money earns money on the money that you just earned. It's a simple definition for compounding. We want to make sure that when we finish this segment today, that you take a look at your finances and tell yourself the decisions that I made about spending in November, December is the same kind of dedication I'm going to make about saving in January through December of 2013. It can be done. I'm looking forward to it. And the most important thing, we're going to do it together. Why? Because, tell me, I don't hear you. Yes, our mission is to change your mind about money so we can change your financial future. Now, savings is the easiest thing to do, but it seems to be hard for all of us because we have to find the money to move to a savings program. And so let's call it something that isn't so adverse. Let's call it stashing your money. I think we can all agree with that. Stash your cash is something that we've been saying around here as a way of identifying what savings is. Whether you stash it in your coat pocket, whether you stash it under your pillow, under your mattress, the whole concept is to take money, put it someplace where you forget about it, essentially, is what we want you to do. And the concept of stashing, if you can think about it for a while, just seems to make you feel that you're taking stuff and you're just putting it away, piling it on top of each other, making sure that that stack stays hidden and nobody gets to it, but it keeps on growing. That's the concept for stashing that we want you to think about when we talk about savings. Stash your cash is what we're trying to do. In the next segment, we're going to talk about methods of doing that. And they're all simple. For those of you who are employed, it can be as simple as a payroll deduction, direct deposit. For those of you in business, it could be as simple as just allocating a portion of your receipts into an account that is not an operating account. I mean, think about it. It's not that complicated. We just have to do it, and we then have to make a decision that it's going to be done. And decision making seems to be something that's pretty easy for us because, again, over the last 2 months, we decided to spend all of our money and even money we didn't have. So 2013, we're going to be really smart about it. We're going to be really prudent about it. And that's what our next segment is going to be on. We're going to take a break now, but to show you how well young people are grasping the message that that we've been giving to you, we're going to have a PSA from a young person who's going to tell you exactly what you should be doing. So listen up. We learn from young people. We'll be back in a couple of seconds. Bye.
Hello, I'm Chase Slade, the coolest 8-year-old kid you will ever meet. My grandpa Don gave me so much money last year, my piggy bank could no longer hold $1 more. He told me to watch Skills to Pay the Bills on Channel 10 and learn about the real secrets of money. Then he told me to watch Egyptian Secrets on Channel 10 to learn how to stay healthy and well. You can be cool and healthy just like me by watching Skills to Pay the Bills and Rock Your Block on every week on Channel 10.
Welcome back to Skills to Pay the Bills and our special segment, the Wealth Zone University. As you know, our mission here at the Wealth Zone University is to change your mind about money so you can change your financial future. In the prior segment, we talked about spending money and saving money. In this segment, we're going to talk about how we save money. If you remember, we talked last about stashing your cash, so let's get to it. Saving, stashing your cash. How do you do that? Well, we contend that it's easy. The first thing you have to do is decide that you're going to pay yourself first. Most of us, we pay the electricity, we pay the car note, we pay the house note, we pay everything, waiting till all of that's paid to determine whether or not there's any money left over for us. How do we solve that? Make yourself one of those bills. Put yourself on the list first. So before the mortgage, before the utilities, before anything else, the car note, you should have yourself down as a bill and pay that bill first. If you're doing your bills in the bank electronically, then put yourself in as a bill and have that money sent to a savings account or another checking account. But still, you need to learn to pay yourself first. In the American economy, we always put ourselves last, unfortunately. We need to change that mindset. Now, will it be easy? No. But will it be something that will be extremely rewarding and beneficial? Yes. So pay yourself first. Write that down. If you don't write anything else down, write that down. The second thing we need to do is actually find a way that savings doesn't hurt. So we call this don't see, do save. Now, what does that mean? That means if you take, let's say, direct deposit straight out of your paycheck, you don't see it coming out, and it comes out regularly, it doesn't really hurt you because you never had the money in the first place in your hand. And if it goes into a savings account or a savings vehicle, it starts to build up, and if you leave it there, it'll build up and on its way to what we're talking about for compounding. Don't see, do save. It's the ability to take money before you actually get it in your hand and put it in a positive place for savings. So let's go back to payroll deduction. That's a form of don't see, do save. The money for your savings is taken out of your check before you even get your net check. It's gone. You don't see it, you don't touch it, you don't have to make a decision anymore about whether to spend it or what to do with it because it's gone. If you put it into a savings account, a CD, wherever you're going to put it, and we'll talk about those things later, it's already starting to accumulate. And that's the good part about being able to use a mechanism where you don't have to make a decision about how much and when to move your money. Systematic allocation. That's when we determine how much money we are going to put away. So what should that be? Well, you know, it varies with every situation. My situation is very different from yours. And when we're talking to our clients about how much should be put away, we actually learn a lot about their personal life, about their spending habits, about their business cash flow, before we can make a decision on how much should be saved. But let me give you just a couple of rules of thumb that we like to use. How old are you? 21. So why don't you put $21 out of every paycheck into a savings account? Easy number to remember. What relationship does it have to anything? Absolutely nothing. But still, you're beginning to save. Or maybe take 10% of your paycheck and put that away. Again, what relationship does it have to any number? Nothing. But again, it begins to help you to save. If you wait until you've figured out how much you can afford to save, you're never going to do it. If you wait until you actually begin to have enough money in your own mind to set aside, you're never going to begin. The whole thrust here is to start, and start the easy way. Commit to saving, have it taken directly from the source before you get it, so you don't touch it. Put it into a vehicle that's going to be safe, where it's protected, where it won't get lost, and we'll talk about those again. And always, always, always start with an amount that's reasonable, and then increase that amount over time as systems change. Now, never decrease it, but always try to increase it. And let's stop there for a second and let's talk about that. When you start, let's just say we use that $21 paycheck that we talked about before, and then you get a raise 3 months later. Normally, you just have that same $21 just coming out. But when you get the raise, if you've been living comfortably off the net check that you already have, why wouldn't it make sense to you to put more of that raise in with the $21? It makes sense for us to begin to think about how we live off less than that paycheck, redirect the money to our savings so that we can have a great financial future. Okay? So think about it for a minute. Me-to-me payments. That's another way for us to start small, but start now. It's essentially what we talked about before, putting yourself first and making yourself a bill, making yourself the very first bill that you pay. We try not to use the B word, and the B word, I'm sure you know, is budget, but at some point in time, the whole concept of planning how you spend your money has to come into play. And so me-to-me is a way of making sure that we know where our money's going and where it's coming from. And a part of that budgeting should be two things. One, making sure that when you budget those bills, that you're the first one, and making sure that when you budget your cash flow, that that amount that you attribute to the savings is one that is reasonable and one that you won't have to change to a lower amount anytime soon. Now realize when you're savings, there are going to be emergencies. You're going to have to raid those savings at some point in time. We hope not, but if you do, the fact is that you've got it there, that you're using your own money. You're not borrowing money from anybody. You're not going for a payday loan. You're actually using your money. But you've also started something else. You started to consistently put money away. You haven't stopped putting money away. And your mindset about savings is starting to cement. You're establishing a habit, and that habit becomes more and more valuable to you as the savings begins to grow and your financial security begins to come closer to realization and fruition. Extremely important. One more tip I've got. You have to start saving now. The earlier you start, the longer you have to put money away. The more money you put away, the more time you have from compounding, the better interest rate that you get on the compounding, the larger your money grows. You see what I'm saying? It's a system. It all works together. Savings is just the beginning piece, but once you get that piece working and you put the other aspects of the system in place, you really begin to take control of your financial security and that of your family and that of your business. And saving early is even more important because I want you to realize that if you start in your 20s, even in your teens, putting a little bit of money away, $10 a week. When you become 50 or 60, that has grown to a phenomenal amount of money just based upon just giving a small amount in steady increments. Why? Because as it grows, it compounds. The money that it earns money on top of that money, and before you know it, you have a nest egg that's extremely valuable. So we're talking early, we're talking young. So let's stop for a minute. I said earlier that assume that you're 21 and you're putting away $21 every paycheck. Why is it important for a young person in their 20s to begin to save? Why can't I wait until I'm 30? Why can't I wait until I'm 40? I mean, my earnings should go up, and that would allow me to then save more. Because the secret in savings is to make sure that your money is working for you. And the sooner you start saving, the larger your nest egg is going to be over a period of time. The sooner you begin to save and get that mentality, the easier it's going to be for you to then continue that habit, continue that track. And 3, the sooner you begin to save, the sooner you can then share that mentality and that ability with your friends who should be saving. When you become a parent, with your children, so that we have a systematic transfer of intelligence about savings, the sooner you begin, I guarantee you, your life is going to change, because when you begin to look at that first house at 25, 26, you're not going to have to figure out where the down payment is going to come. It's going to come from your savings, because you've been saving since you were in your 20s. When you begin to buy that first car, you're not going to have to go up to debt to your eyeballs, because you're going to be able to put down a reasonable down payment on that car because you've been savings. If you have an emergency, all of us and any of us can have an emergency at any point in time. You're not going to be really stressed out about it, because you're going to have the money to address it because you've been saving. It's really, really important for you to take it and look at it from a lifestyle standpoint. There are things that we all must do and want to do in our lives. They all require money. The secret is that we shouldn't be using other people's money. We should be using our own. During the earning years, when you have the ability to bring in as much money as your talents and your skills will bear, that's when you should be putting away as much money as you possibly can. So it's all within our control, all within our control. So I can't say enough about beginning to save. I can stress this, though. If you were the person who went out and spent $750 during the holiday season in a 2-month period, actually, then you're the person who can also save $25 a paycheck, $50 a paycheck, to make sure that at the end of 2013 that you have a nest egg. Now remember, I don't want you to go out in November of 2013 and spend everything that you've saved. That's a whole other discussion which we'll have, but guarantee you that's not what I'm trying to get you to do. That's what I want you to not do this time around. But I do want you to begin now to save. If you make a resolution, whatever you want to do, make a promise, whatever you want to do, but I need for you to begin your savings account. I need you to put it into a CD, so it begins to build up interest. I need you to put it into a savings account. When you get a larger amount of money, then we'll talk about places where we can put it where we get a better return. But most important thing, I want you to make a commitment to you and to me that 2013, starting right now, we're going to put savings into place and we're going to follow that plan, okay? What I'd like for you to do is send me an email, give me a call. I'd like to know what your plan is. And if you need some help and advice, I'd be more than happy to help you with your plan. But I want each and everybody who's listening to me and talking with me tonight to promise yourselves, and promise me too, that you're going to begin a savings plan. I'll make you a promise. I'm going to increase the amount that I've got going to my savings, just like I'm asking you to do that. So at the end of the year, when I show you my savings account, if I haven't saved any money, then you win the bet. At the end of the year, when I ask you to show me your savings account, if you haven't saved any money, then I win the bet. The most important thing is that now we have challenges.